Unbelievable. You, subject name here, must be the pride of subject from down here.
I've got Connor hooked up to a vocoder right now
Are you
because
still there?
wait, try that one. I'm playing him on a MIDI keyboard, so it's an amazing act of synchronization. Also, I've got headphones on and I'm hearing everything at a slight delay, so this is just the trippiest thing in the world. Give me a Tourette line.
Are you still there?
Okay, I think we can nail this. Let me use pitch bend to go ahead one more time.
Are you still there?
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I know you can't hear it, but I can hear it. It sounds pretty good. What else do we have? I'm going to turn you into a giant robot.
Oh, a giant robot. Megatron.
Can I get I am Optimus Prime. What does he say?
Something Autobots.
Something Autobots roll out. Yeah, let's get Autobots roll out.
I am Optimus Prime. Something Autobots roll out.
Yeah, it sounds just like what's his name? Peter Cullen. Oh man, I want to be on the vocoder. What's up, my dude? Wait, let me turn your vocoder off, or this episode is going to be incredibly trippy.
Yeah, that would be quite annoying.
Okay, we're back to non-robot Connor. How's it going?
Oh man, this week's been crazy. How have you been?
Pretty good. Busy here, as it is. Holding down the fort, keeping the fort pretty stationary. Pretty well grounded.
Make sure
this
that
fort.
fort doesn't move anywhere. It's not allowed to move anywhere. It's been told countless times.
How long has it been since Portal came out?
2007.
2007. So what?
2007.
10, 11 years?
Yeah, 11 years.
It's insane. I guess that would make it something from our childhood.
Yeah. You know what came out even longer?
Like longer ago?
The Incredibles.
Oh my
Incredibles 2
gosh.
is out this weekend.
That's so relevant.
Yeah.
That's such a relevant topic. Let's have that be our transition. Cue the music.
Your best friends created the best show in the universe. And they took that show and made that show 100% worse.
Presenting Podcast Extravaganza 100% Worse, the show that gets better every day. Presented in stunning 4K.
Wait, no, that's McDonald's.
I guess we're talking about old stuff this week.
Yeah.
I'm holding a MIDI keyboard on my lap. Let me set that down on the ground.
Let's put that down.
With grace and precision, I, the
on the
consummate
mics.
radio professional, have just put a MIDI keyboard back on the ground without even tripping over it once.
You're gonna trip over it.
In like a second, I'm gonna trip over it.
Yeah.
The
Graham
Incredibles.
actually stands up and moves around.
Yes.
We have a hired stagehand hold a mic in front of his face, and he's just got to predict where Graham's mouth is going to go next.
Yeah, it was cheaper to hire somebody to follow me around with a mic than it was to get a headset mic. I don't know
but
why.
you don't like stuff touching. We talk about it. He's a real diva. I'm under a lot of contract and a lot of obligation right now just to be doing this. I'm sorry.
I used to do this show by myself, and Connor was the one who would follow me around with the mic. But then he had so many great snappy comments all the time. We gave him a mic, but then we had to have somebody follow him around with the mic. It was kind of a real human centipede situation of microphones, except in the best possible way, in the good way of the human centipede. The pleasant, the nice one for kids. Man, so The Incredibles.
Yeah.
That was
2004, 14 years ago.
Are you kidding me right now?
Mm-hmm.
Can you say that number again?
2004, 14 years ago.
Oh my gosh. It's not sinking in. It's not.
No, I was
tadpole.
I was in like elementary school.
We were both in we were little pollywogs. Our land legs had not yet grown. That's incredible. Feels like... No, it doesn't feel like yesterday. It really actually feels like it's been a super duper long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to see The Incredibles 2.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, yeah. Look at person who sees movies a year before they come out over here. or a day or whatever.
Yeah, it's only a day. But yeah, old stuff. What was from your childhood?
Well, here's the thing. Let me just kind of throw a little frame around this. But I was thinking a lot this week and the past week. I think it was kind of like all the stuff surrounding my 21st birthday. That's like a milestone birthday, and I hit it last Saturday. On the day, I was just like thinking constantly about stuff from when I was really little.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff from like the earliest stuff that I remember, but also stuff from just like not like an insanely long amount of time ago. But that's just like, I don't know, like the really nostalgic stuff.
Which would be an example of one of those would be?
Okay, well, I think one that everybody gets nostalgic for if you mention it is Sagwa. The PBS show, animated PBS show about the Chinese cat, the Chinese Siamese cat who went on adventures and wrote by dipping her tail in ink.
Yeah, super trippy. I forgot it existed until you mentioned it a little bit ago.
Sagwa is such a weird phenomenon. I mean, you can Google it, and if you Google Sagwa or like show with the cats, you'll come up with like all these posts from different people all over the internet. From people who are trying to remember the name of the show, from people who are convinced that the show never existed, from people who can vaguely remember it but can't quite. And then, once you explain Sagwa to somebody, you just see the light go on in their eyes, and they're like, "I'm not crazy. That was a real show." For me, that's not the only one like that.
What else? Like,
okay, sure. I'll give you one more example. For the longest time, I could not. I didn't know if it was real or not, and I also couldn't remember the name of it if it was real. I just had this vague memory in my head of seeing something when I was really little, watching this show that had. It was like
this is Turbo Teen, isn't it?
No, it's not Turbo Teen.
100% Turbo Teen.
You're creating bits for me that I'm not even trying to come up with.
I honestly thought this was going to be a long
such
time,
a lack
Turbo
of
Teen joke.
trust here. No, it was another old. I think it was old PBS show, animated, and it had to do with circus animals. And I remember there being like a big pink elephant. That was all I had to go on.
Yeah, you've lost me.
Yeah, and anybody that I asked about it, they were like, "What circus pink elephant?" It just wasn't enough information. I Googled it because I'm, consummate Googler, and I found out it was an old show called Marvin the Tap Dancing Horse.
Marvin the Tap Dancing Horse.
Yes.
How did you first see this? I've never heard of it.
It was an old PBS show.
Old PBS show.
Yeah, it came on between, George Shrinks and Sagwa and whatever else. George Shrinks, that's another one.
George Shrinks. I remember Curious George, not George Shrinks.
Yeah, George Shrinks it was based on a book, and it was about this kid who shrinks to a tiny size and goes on adventures, lots of gizmos and gadgets and stuff.
So like Magic School Bus.
Well, no,
they do that. I mean, they also go to space and stuff. But that's
do
not
that.
important.
That's what I think the episode where they go inside Ralph until he.
Yeah, that was a weird episode.
Yeah.
Most episodes of that show were just weird.
I mean, let's be honest. Yeah,
go watch them again now, and it's just weird.
It does. Yeah.
This psychopath of a teacher is just straight up almost killing kids. To be like, let's go learn about red blood cells. Let's go learn about this comet in space. Let's go. Everyone out of the school bus. Yes, it's space. That's fine. Don't worry. You can breathe for a little bit.
The weird thing about the Magic School Bus to me is how its entire focus was on science, reasoning, logic, rational thinking, and the real-life natural causes behind things. And the name of the show, one more time, The Magic School Bus.
Yeah.
It's not scientific. It just does this stuff. And there's no scientific reasoning behind it at all. So it's kind of like rolling up and just going, listen, It's important to learn about science, even though none of that matters, because this bus defies all the laws of science. They don't count for anything. But I just want to get inside Ralph real quick, inside his veins, and do some weird stuff in there. So why don't we just climb aboard the magic school bus? Take these pills, it's fine.
You know what else was built on a base of science and trying to educate kids about different things, but didn't care about that in the slightest?
Now you're referring to the 1984 ABC series Turbo Teen.
No, I was referring to Animorphs.
Okay, so our other one.
It's
the other one that
teaching
anything ever
kids
is.
zoology and about different animals. And in the very first book, there's like, bam, aliens.
Aliens. Now, I think aliens are more scientific than just straight up the word magic describing the vehicle that.
Well, yeah, but they're trying to teach kids about animals on Earth. And in the very first book, they're like, okay, here's a new animal. It's not on Earth. It's not real.
Yes, but you could also make the argument that the Animorphs books weren't an educational, like they weren't supposed to actually.
If they weren't, I'm surprised. Reading them definitely feels that's what kind of like,
Really?
yeah, that's kind of what, like when the dude turns into a fly or whatnot, it kind of shows how the fly brain works a little bit and how the fly sees things, and like it kind of shows like different stuff, and it definitely feels a lot like an edgy, like someone who's writing an educational series and trying to make it not educational, except for it actually really worked because it turned out to be about like aliens and stuff.
I mean, the other possibility is that K.A. Applegate or Catherine Applegate just really liked animals and wanted to just put it, like, had an insane amount of information about animals and just used it in her stuff. Kind of like how a lot of like noir or like crime writers have a background in forensics, and so they put into like as much visceral detail about each crime as they can. Or like how Brian Jakes just knows an inordinate amount about ships. And so if you read like a Redwall book, you're going to just learn a lot about like ships and cooking. A lot of cooking. A whole lot of cooking in those books.
I still have yet to read Redwall. I know that was a big part of your, what do you call that? Library?
Childhood
library.
Sure, yeah.
Like, not as in like the physical building, but like inside your mind. Like the library of your mind.
Did we talk about Redwall yet on this show?
No, we haven't. Wait, we may have.
I remember
but-
having this conversation. I don't remember if we had it on this show. I loved the Redwall books as a kid. I got super into those. And it's funny because they're also about, anthropomorphic animals. Animorphs is kind of just about like people and animals, the people who turn into animals. Redwall is just about animals who act like people. It was weird. It was like you would frequently forget that they were animals because they're like decapitating each other and like getting on ships and walking on their feet and stuff. People things. People things. Decapitations. Living in houses. Who are you, animals? What are you doing? What are you doing in there?
You know what I had as a kid? And I loved, and that's sadly not around anymore, but I would love for it to be around again.
Innocence. And that's the thing. I think for a lot of us...
Oof. Major oof right there.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say Bionicles.
Oh, Bionicles!
Yeah, Bionicles.
Oh, man, talk to me about Bionicles.
Well, Bionicles was originally created to try and save a slowly dying Lego.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, it was weird. At some point in time, like, I don't know when it was, like 2001, 2000. Bionicles probably weren't back then. It was like maybe 2006. I don't know. Lego was kind of going under, kind of going down a little bit. There was just other stuff. And so they had to...
Because one of their enemies was like, made a threat, and they were like, we're going to tear this place down brick by brick. But then they actually did. And so that's kind of what it was, is that all their blocks are disappearing. Very literal threats sometimes that get made against these Danish corporations. Is Lego Danish? Is that relevant at all?
I don't know. It's somewhere in there.
The important thing is that we know the
Norwegian, maybe?
nationality of this plastic brick company.
And so they set out to create a completely new IP, like a completely new product, and it was Bionicle. And it got super convoluted super quickly. And there are comics, there are books, there are movies,
Yes.
and there are little bits of information and lore in games and in the sets themselves, to where like learning the full story took a long time. It took me a long time before I've read most of every Bionicle book. Maybe not some of the like encyclopedias or some of the other stuff that you get, like a Lost Tales book or something. But most of the main ones, I've seen the movies and played every single game because I had a Game Boy Advance for a little bit.
Really? They're
yeah.
for Game Boy Advance. Well, I know what I'm doing with my
They weren't
next
very
week.
good.
I don't care. I was. I remember Bionicle. I wasn't super into Bionicle. I mean, I had a few Bionicles. Never really figured out if they were like supposed to be robots or.
That point is moot. It actually doesn't matter.
Yeah,
They're just some form of
They're just some
robotic,
form of-
organic
they're
life
kind
form.
of
That's
like
it.
Transformers, I guess.
Right. Except for the whole thing of Transformers, like they are metal and machine, and we are human. But they're
Yeah.
remove the human, and it's just them. And
Right.
so no one really talks about how they're like organic machinery or whatever.
Right. I remember learning words like Matanui and
Yeah. Oh.
like I said, I had a few Bionicles. I read some of the comics. I think I played like one of the games. One of the PC games was kind of engaging.
Yeah,
it
I've
was
played
kind of
that
like
one.
a bit of like an open worlder.
They also had a bunch of games on the Lego site itself.
Yeah.
There was an arena simulation game to where you could choose a Bionicle. This was for like one of the later generations of Bionicle, so it wasn't like for Mata or Metro Nui or anything. And you could choose like a hero and a different kind of Bionicle.
Oh yeah,
and then
they
you
were
could
very
like
contentious people, weren't they? Bionicles, always fighting. Everything had to do with fighting.
Yeah, everything was fighting. But this little arena game, I remember it ran on Unity, and back when Unity was like not as good as it is now.
hmm
And Unity barely worked on my computer because I had an old thing. But I'd be able to play it, and you'd be able to you'd be able to dodge attacks. You'd be able to heavy attack or light attack, and there were like some slight strategy. It was a browser game on Lego.com,
Yeah.
so it wasn't anything involved. It just kind of gave me the love for the games I like now.
Is it just
Which
me,
is super weird.
or does nobody play like browser games anymore? I don't know if
Nobody
it was
plays
just
browser games anymore. No.
I don't know if it was just like just my development or what. But when I was a kid, like everybody was looking to score the next cool like play free games online site. You know, whether it was like Congregate or like
I remember
what,
Congregate.
Miniclip, was that one?
Miniclip was one.
Or like
Miniclip took a lot of stuff from Newgrounds.
like free on fog.com or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was like you were always looking to play the cool free Flash games. I remember playing God, couldn't
Well-
tell you the name of it on Congregate, some kind of tower defense game that was amazing.
Bloons Tower Defense. 100% it was Bloons Tower Defense.
Probably right.
Probably Bloons Tower Defense 4, maybe 3.
I remember playing this stick figure fighting game. It was called like I think it was just called Bullet Time Fighting, and it was just this like shooting slash kind of Street Fighter type game with stick figures, but it had a cool mechanic built in where you could hold down I think tab and it would put everything in matrix time. So it would be like
That's kind of neat.
yeah, it would be like halftime or something like that.
Now, does your character move in normal speed, or do they go in half time too?
Everything moves slower.
Okay, so it just gives you time to think.
It just gives you time to think. Yeah, it's really cool. I couldn't tell you where to find that game. I've not played that game in probably 7, 8 years. I remember playing a lot of online Boggle.
Online Boggle?
A lot of online Boggle.
Well, this explains your repertoire of English.
It's not the thing about Boggle is that you learn not the meanings of a lot of words, but you learn that there are a lot of combinations of letters that are words. And that's all you need to know, is that they are words. Like SAE, I believe that's a word. I have no idea what it's supposed to mean, but I know that you can play it in Boggle. And that's what's important. That could have been the entire Boggle theme song. Just, what you say? Spelled S-A-E. What does it mean?
It means server not found. Firefox can't find the server at www.google.com.
Are you sure that's the meaning of SAE? Or is my internet just not working?
I looked it up and it says you have network connectivity issues.
What is it? Leslie, I typed your symptoms into this thing here. The old Andy Dwyer method.
Self-addressed envelope.
Really? So it was...
Society of Automotive Engineers.
Well, it's probably does it mean anything else? Because I doubt you can use an acronym. But maybe, I guess you can use laser, and laser is an acronym, and it's just become a word.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing we talked about in my linguistics class.
Oh, it looks like say is actually a noun. So it's not just an
What
acronym.
is it?
It is self-addressed envelope.
Oh, I see.
So a say is just the
Really?
thing. Yeah, it's the noun.
Huh.
That's weird.
I thought it was like some old Germanic word, but the more you know, the more you grow. I don't think that's I don't know if they actually, but that was an old thing they used to do. The more you know, the more you grow is what that was. Man, I remember.
Is that where the star comes from?
That is where the star
That's
comes
where
from.
the star
Yeah.
comes from. Okay.
It's just the more you know, and I don't remember if it says the more you grow after it, but that is the rest of that phrase. That's what the rest of.
I actually had no idea what
So
the
the rest
rest
of
of
it
that
is.
phrase was.
Yeah. It's a real important one to know. What games did you? I mean, what's like the chronology of games that you played? Like as a kid and then up till now.
jeez.
What would you say? Because I didn't game a lot when I was younger, but I know you've gamed.
Yeah, the
Pretty
first games
consistently.
I ever played was my dad's Atari 2600. Like original, the theme was amazing.
Wow.
He sold it, which was
Heartbreaking.
actually super sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have kept it. I would have loved it. We had all the games: Galaga, Pac-Man, Pie Fight. Pie
Oh
Fight
my
was one of my
gosh.
favorites.
I could kill for some Galaga.
We had that weird, trippy game of like you're a mouse and there are cats and there are trampolines and doors, and if you open a special door the right way, a sound wave goes through the hall and blasts the cat off, and it's all 2D. And it was super buggy and known for breaking all the time.
I hate to tell you this, but I think somebody gave you acid when you were just a kid.
Someone gave those developers acid. I don't remember what game that was, but man, that was weird. And then it just kind of went to a few PC games. Like Lego Island, which was... Personally, I love Lego Island. Now, it's a terrible game, I understand that, but I still really like Lego Island.
I tell you, I loved the few PC games that I played. Mostly Axis and Allies for the
Yeah.
PC. I mean, that was kind of my repertoire of games, though.
It's a board
that
game,
I played when I
yeah.
was a kid. There were board games that had been made into computer games,
Mhm.
and I for some reason I don't love a lot of board games. I think I don't have the patience, but for whatever reason, I love playing those same board games on the computer. Axis and Allies, Risk, even Monopoly. Now, Axis and Allies will not run on my new computer.
Yeah,
I think the last thing
it's
it'll run on
old-
is like XP.
Probably. It's rather old.
And it was already like backwards compatible for XP.
But yeah, the first game that I got where I realized, or where I thought, okay, now this is a video game, was a GameCube. My dad kind of just came home one day and had a GameCube, which was awesome.
Yes.
And he got Super Mario Sunshine.
There you go.
So I actually played Super Mario Sunshine before I played Super Mario World, before I played, because I didn't have an NES. I had an Atari 2600 and then a GameCube. So I didn't play 64. I didn't play any of that because I had computer games like Lego Island and some Nancy Drew
Oh yeah, everybody played the
point and
Nancy
click,
Drew point and click game.
game. and there was one that was like, it had a super creepy corridor, and it was this old snowbound.
Oh, yes.
And there was,
Slender.
like-
You're thinking of Slender Man, the game, the movie,
And
the
there was
theme
this,
park.
There was this tower that I had to get past in order to solve the mystery or something. And there was this really creepy picture. It was a normal picture. I swear it was just straight up a normal picture. Something unnerved me so much about that I could not pass.
And I hate to tell you this, but I think when you're a kid, somebody gave you just a lot of marijuana. Just a whole... Do you remember just being very hungry as a kid?
No.
Do you remember
actually,
just
I've never
being
been
in...
hungry.
Do you remember dry mouth? A little bit of red eyes? You will. You will. What's your favorite game right now?
Right now? Oh, that is so hard.
Is it...
Because don't say any games, because I'm not going to say any games yet. But Super Mario Sunshine has my second most playtime of any game ever, and I'm pretty confident in that fact. But I wouldn't say it's my favorite game. I don't think my favorite game is my first most played, because it's just Stockholm Syndrome at this point, and I don't.
Stockholm, Sweden, where they make the Legos. The Danish Legos.
As of this point right now, I just got done with Tomb Raider, the 2013 remaster, like remake, and that was really good.
Here's a question from somebody who's not an avid gamer. Lara
Croft. Yeah.
Lara Croft. Thank you.
Not Lara. Actually, going back and replaying that, but like editing everyone's dialogue to say Lara would be amazing.
All you have to do is just hand me the script and say, pronounce this how you think. Pronounce it as the spirit leads. Because I'll get it wrong. I will 100% always get it wrong.
Oh, you should play Skyrim then.
I do play Skyrim. One of the few games that I've actually, not gotten very far into.
Don't worry,
but...
now you can play it on your fridge. Smoke detector. And the cardboard box that, or the box that the Skyrim disc comes on, you can also play it on that too. It's pretty great. But they did just release this E3 was just a bit ago. They just released they announced, teased Elder Scrolls 6. So when that comes out, that might be my favorite game.
And what's up with Fallout 76? Giving West Virginia some love. I say that like I've been to West Virginia a couple times. It was
but
nice.
nobody thinks it's a real thing.
No.
If you say West Virginia, they imagine Virginia, and then they think the west side.
Oh yeah,
of
what's the
Virginia.
west part of Virginia? The weird thing is it's not. I mean, it's kind of west. It's kind of. I feel like there's a better name for it. There's Virginia, and then there's what? What would you call West Virginia instead of West Virginia?
Considering
Let's actually rename all of the.
It's-
Let's start with West Virginia. So we have Virginia. Okay.
Virginia.
And then what would you call West Virginia instead? Let's just spitball. Gummyland.
Gummyland.
Tumbleweed. I don't think they have
No.
any
No,
tumbleweeds
they
in
don't
West
have-
Virginia.
Yeah, but see, it's a Greenland, Iceland kind of thing. Because
Okay.
we can then name, like, Montana now can be named, or no, not Montana, but Colorado can be named Mountain Land.
Huntington Max.
Hillland. Huntington Max.
I think Huntington is probably my favorite place from West Virginia. Or how about just calling it'll be long on the postcards, but you just came here because you were going to visit DC and this was cheaper than staying in real Virginia. Can that be on a license plate?
This one place, everyone knows where it is. Nobody really cares.
What are we going to call
No
South?
one cared enough to give it a name.
What are we going to call South Dakota?
South Dakota?
And if we rename South Dakota, do we have to rename North Dakota?
No. South Dakota is Dakota. North Dakota is Dakota's hat.
Dakota's hat?
Dakota's hat.
Okay. Or could it be a fun thing where it's like, one of them could be Dakota Fanning and one of them could be, I guess just Dakota, or they could just become Dakota. Just do a full Fairly Odd Parents. North and South Dakota have
Why do
merged
we
and
have
become
to
one
have
big Dakota.
separate? Yeah, just make them the same.
Yeah.
I'm sure they won't mind.
We could do that with North and South Dakota. I think that'd be
North and
fine.
South
Nobody
Carolina?
cares. North and South Carolina, they're basically the same.
California in the bottom of the ocean.
I'm
sorry. I'm sorry.
California.
I mean, it's going there anyway, so I didn't have to say anything.
No, it's almost like Southern California and Northern California should actually become different states, though.
Probably.
They're kind of right now. It's like they're you know that game that you'd play as a kid, where I don't know if you ever played this, but you and somebody else would stand up in front of each other, facing each other. You'd put your hands on each other's hands. You would both push, and then at some point, and you'd have to keep your feet in the same place. And then one of you would pull your hands back at some point, or both of you would, or whenever. And then the first person to kind of like fall and move their foot would lose. That's kind of what Northern California and Southern California are doing right now. And at some point, one of them is just going to slip and fall into the ocean, or they can settle their differences. But I don't think it's going to happen. Now, West Virginia and Virginia, it's kind of funny, isn't it? Because it's like North Dakota, South Dakota, North Carolina, South Carolina.
It's
And
the
then
only one that's west.
it's like
It's not even East Virginia. It's
No.
just Virginia, and then West Virginia.
Yeah, it's like
Like
Virgin-
it was tacked on with a stapler.
they should really be called Virginia and not Virginia.
There we go. There we go. Not Virginia.
Welcome to the state of not Virginia. Can't wait till the McElroy brothers go make season 2 of their show in not Virginia. Anyway, that's what we think about Sagwa here on our show, 100% Worse, where we make great use of vocoders and we talk about not Virginia, I guess. Thank you all so much for listening. Now, before we go, we've got one more thing we got to do,
Yeah.
and that's consult the real expert, the Dictionary of Dreams,
Oh, yeah, where'd that go?
which knows what's up and knows what's good. Now I'm going to let you choose any word that you think might apply to this episode.
Any word that might apply
anything
to this
at
episode.
all.
Flute.
Flute? Is it really?
Flute. I just turned.
You just turned. I just saw
just
this
turned,
happen. You just turned it.
and I
Okay.
just looked,
Well, here we go.
flute.
Let's have a little bit of flute.
To dream of hearing notes from a flute signifies a pleasant meeting with friends from a distance and profitable engagements. For a young woman to dream of playing a flute denotes that she will fall in love because of her lover's engaging manners. Flute.
Very good. Well, that wraps everything up. I think it just really just puts it all in a big old empty nutshell. Now, if you want to get a hold of us,
You can do that at
you can do that at
hundo@turboteam.com.
TurboTeenMovie.com.
Oh, my bad. I messed that
That
up.
lawyer,
jumped the gun.
lawyer hit me back this week, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said. Now let me kind of recap the conversation that had occurred up till that point. He said, "I said, can I buy this domain, please?" And he said that'll be $24,000. And I said, "You're out of your gourd." And he said nothing for like a long time. And then he replied back just yesterday, and he said, "Hi, just checking in. Has anything changed since the last time we spoke?" And I said, "Are you a bot? Because I don't think that you've been answering any of the questions that I asked." And he hasn't answered yet.
I think it's a bot, mate.
Well, you can email us at all I can think of is Turbo Team Movie. You can email us at 100%worse@gmail.com. That's the number 100, the words percent and worse. We'll get it.
Someday.
Someday we'll figure out how to do that in sync.
Anywho, shout out to our sponsor, Wet Soap. It's useful.
Thanks, Wet Soap, for sponsoring this. Yeah, I tried to hold on to that one, but it was just out of my reach. You could also shoot us a tweet.
shoot us a tweet. What is
Well,
this?
I don't
What kind of
come
show
up
is
with
this?
I don't come up with the verbs. You're the verb person.
You can bionicle us a tweet.
All right.
It's a verb. That's not a verb.
Well, it becomes a
You
verb when
can
you say it
not
like that.
Virginia us a tweet.
You're kind of yeah.
You can drive to not Virginia and send us a tweet
Uh-huh.
of the signs of West Virginia saying
Mm-hmm.
"Welcome to West Virginia," but kind of scratch it off with a little Snapchat filter and put
Yeah.
"not."
We encourage vandalism here at 100% worse.
I said with a Snapchat filter. Don't actually do it. Do it on your
Snapchat
phone.
vandalism.
Or if anyone wants to actually steal a West Virginia sign and mail that to me, that'd be
You
great.
have still not said our Twitter handle.
No, you're right. I have not. What is it now? At 100% worse.
That's the one. And that's the number 100, the words per cent and worse. Yeah, that's not bad. Also, if you please leave us an iTunes rating, help us get to the top of those pops, those podcast pops, those charts, top of those, on top of the world.
Hey.
Hey, we appreciate you.
Thanks, Kenny, for doing the opening monologue. Feeney, you do great. Week after week.
Week
Thank
after
you.
week after week.
I've been Connor Hughes.
I've been Graham Ganal. This has been 100% worse. Thanks for listening. Long live Turbo Teen.
And they took that show and made that show 100% worse.
Like I said, can't think of a closing statement. What do we even do to close? This is my podcast. What do we do to close this show?